But Mark, let's move on into our next topic, and we are looking at the Tennessee Titans, who this one is very, very confusing to me because the best way to kind of put in chronological order how the Titans did things is if you look at the MVP Twitter and how it transpired. Sean put it perfectly. There was one day where Sean put, and he quoted a tweet that they were going to keep Mike Mularkey. And he said, are they sure that they want to keep this guy? And then the next day it's like, well, they fired him and hired Mike Vrabel. And Sean quoted that and said they weren't sure. Mike Vrabel, head coach, Tennessee Titans, Mike Mularkey, he gone. So I'm going to ask you, is Vrabel the right guy for the job? Is he the right coach for the Tennessee Titans?
I don't think that he is. It's a confusing hire to me. I mean, I'm not trying to, get really down on him as a coach, but he had the 1 year experience as a defensive coordinator. Before that, there honestly wasn't that much experience. I mean, he's only been a coach since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to completely get down on that. I mean, look at McVay. Chicago just hired Nagy. DeFilippo's a really hot conversation topic here. There are options for these guys who might not have the most experience. But my big thing is this. He's a defensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the criticism that most people have with Mularkey? He's not getting the most out of Mariota. So now you're going to bring in a defensive guy to get the most out of Marcus Mariota.
Now, here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say is I believe if I heard this right, I don't think I'm trying to think if he named.
He has not, as far as I've seen, he's not named any offensive.
Okay. Because I heard Todd Haley just got hired to one of the jobs.
Maybe he did.
But one of the things is that with that, though, is it all depends on who he is going to bring in to be his offensive coordinator. It's the Cleveland Browns that brought in Todd Haley. However, whoever he brings in, because the thing that I think of is a team we just saw in the NFC title game.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what the Vikings were able to do, where, you've got Zimmer, who is a defensive coach, calls the defensive plays as the head coach, and kind of sets up how that team thinks in general and how they act. But he had a great mind this year in Pat Shurmur to be able to call the plays, work the offense.
Yeah.
If Mike Vrabel can find his guy to call the plays on offense and work with Mariota, then I don't think him being a defensive guy will be the knock. It's if he hires the wrong guy for the offensive coordinator job, and then he's not able to get enough out of the offense. Because if the offensive coordinator can't get it, it's not like he's going to say, well, fuck it, I'm calling the plays now because he's a defensive guy.
Well, my problem with that would kind of be this, and going back to the experience, which I don't want to be my big thing I'm harping on.
Be that guy.
But it's one thing when you're Mike Zimmer, who is 61 years old and has a shit ton of experience, bringing in Pat Shurmur and saying, you can control the offense. It's another thing when you're a guy who has 7 years of a coaching experience, who's the head coach, who has to bring someone else in to be the guy in charge of the offense.
Let me ask you this.
You're basically not the head coach then, in my eyes.
I want to ask you this, and this is from the Tennessean.com. What if they brought in Chip Kelly to be the offensive coordinator? I would love that.
I would hate it.
I would love it.
Do you really think... Remember Chip Kelly. Remember Chip Kelly in Philadelphia. Mr. Mind, mind, mind. I'm in control of everything. You really think that a guy with about 7 or 8 years of coaching experience is going to be able to handle that monster of mind, mind, mind? I'm in control. I'm Chip Kelly. I'm the genius in the room.
All I'm thinking... here's the thing. I think it'll be... The way I look at it and the reason why I would like that. I'm not saying that would be my main... Well, two things. Not because I wouldn't be like that's the number one guy I would go after, because the article is that it's Titans Mike Vrabel targeting Chip Kelly's he's targeting Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. And I would like that because it would be, you know what? Yeah, you got to deal with that part. But I think of it almost like what you would say with Mark Helfrich being with the Bears. With the Bears, you said, well, I don't mind that because Nagy's going to call the plays. All that Helfrich has to do is be a creative mind. Well, with Vrabel, it's like, hey, you don't have to worry about anything with how the whole team structures. You don't have to have all the responsibilities like you did with Philly. Mm-hmm. All your responsibility is running the offense, calling the plays, and getting the most out of a quarterback like the back of your hands.
Heavily doubting Chip Kelly would be okay with that. He is God again over in UCLA right now.
And that's the thing where it's, that's right, he did get hired at UCLA. Then I don't know what this article is.
I mean, it's not that he can't get out of that deal and go over here, but
I'm an idiot. Okay, faux pas on me. I'm an idiot. They're not targeting Chip Kelly. Mm-hmm. They're targeting Ryan Day, who was the former offensive coordinator with Chip Kelly. I apologize. I'm an idiot. They're not looking at Chip Kelly. They're looking at the former. I read a little bit more than just the first paragraph. They're looking at a former offensive coordinator, which I wouldn't be against because of, like I said, if he was with Chip Kelly's system, he knows what to get out of a quarterback like Marcus Mariota. Apologies.
Yeah, it's something that's potentially able to be there. I don't know. To me, I just sit here and I think the thing that made the most sense to me was Josh McDaniels, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. That made so much sense to me. I even would have taken Pat Shurmur to Tennessee. That would have also made sense to me.
How about just keeping Mike Mularkey like you said you were going to? Here's the thing with that.
Well, they fucked that up for sure.
It's once you say we're keeping you, keep them. Like, what? I want to know what was the main thing that made you go, nah, no, and then boom, we're hiring Mike Vrabel almost immediately.
Well, what I've seen, and this might just be gossip or rumors or something like that, is but they gave him a deal to basically say that we tried, but they gave him a deal they knew he was going to reject. You're talking about Mularkey. Yeah. Is that they gave him a deal to say, we gave it a shot, knowing he wouldn't do it. It's political theater in a way of saying, we're going to put this out there because it makes us look better. Knowing that it wouldn't happen. And then he lost and they got the right to get rid of him. Why you did that, I don't think you needed to do it. You don't owe the guy anything if you're firing him. Just get rid of him and just cut it clean. I would have just fired him. I would have just said you're fired and then moved on with the guy. The only thing that I worry about, with this hire is, are we going to look back at this and think, man, if they didn't hurry so much, if they did basically and here's the thing when you get into the playoffs, like the Bears, I'm going to use them as an example because you're a Bear fan, we're here in Chicago. They're basically like the Los Angeles Rams of last year, where didn't make the playoffs, knew the coach was getting fired. They were able to do their due diligence. We're going to bring in this guy. We're going to bring in this guy. We're going to interview. And then they made their hire. After making the hire, Nagy was really good with, I want you, shoring up the staff. Yeah.
But getting the head coach was not rushed. This, I have a feeling, I have just a small inkling, we're going to look back and say, why didn't they just do their due diligence? There are guys out there. Why didn't they say we're going to interview this guy, we're going to interview this guy, we're going to interview this guy, and then go ahead and make the call for Mike Vrabel? I feel like it's going to be too rushed, and that could be what we're looking at 3 years down the line.
I mean, apparently they really like him, is what it's got to come down to. I just sit here and I think about the Houston Texans, and I'm like, that's a good defense, but man, is it stacked with talent.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the one reason that hurt them this year is injuries.
Yeah. But the thing I'm kind of looking at that is, and I think that actually, I wasn't going to bring that up, but sure, I'll take it, is you have a team that's stacked with talent, and when injuries happened, next man up didn't quite work out. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to get promoted. I'm not saying he's a bad defensive coordinator. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying I don't see why, is what I'm saying. And I'm going to similar to something like McVay, similar to what I said with Chip Kelly in San Francisco. That did not work out. McVay has worked out. Is I don't get it, but I'll let them prove it to me.
Well, the only thing that I'll say is that I get it is on the side of they do have a strong defense. Like, it's not Viking strong. It's not Eagle strong. It's a affordable defense. Like, it was able to, being down 21-3, I believe it was, hold the Chiefs and allow that offense to get back. I know the Marcus Mariota play was a huge spark in that game, but the defense is good. The defense is there. Getting a defensive mind in there, because the defensive coaches, like, I know we get a ton of comments in the comment section of like, it's an offensive league. You need a guy who's going to push the ball downfield. You need an offensive mind to work with these young quarterbacks. Let me get that from my offensive coordinator. We have seen it work on the defensive side. It's just got to be the right situation, like I said.
Yeah, I don't see that being an issue, but I just look at the team and I'm like, you're an offensive team. You are not a defensive team. I mean, you have a good defense.
Unless they want to switch that.
Which is, they could do that.
Identity.
But at the same time, I'm like, what is your big investment right now? Marcus Mariota. That's the big thing that you have. This is what I view as the team, the face of the team. You can definitely switch. I'm not saying you can't switch. Go ahead and do it if you want. Commit to it then. But I just look at it and I think, I'm just surprised you didn't go offense. Offense is where your team seems like they needed help. A big thing that people are saying is that Mariota did a lot of play calling himself in that playoff win. So you definitely need someone better play calling. So I think that's, if they get a good hire for offensive coordinator, and that's a good relationship with Mariota, then all right, we're good to go. But if you don't get that hire right, then I think this can be a dangerous situation.
Here's the one thing I look at this year. And, of course, teams like, I'm going to say Carolina, I'm going to say Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and then I kind of want to throw Atlanta in there. Besides those four teams, you look at the teams that lost wild card weekend and divisional round. Kansas City, their defense wasn't as strong as we all thought it was at the beginning of the year because of injuries. They were a pretty good offensive team, lost in the wild card round. The Rams, they have a good defense, but an offensive team with an offensive coach, they lost in the first round. You've got Carolina. Yes, they have a pretty good defense. Cam Newton, though, in that offense, though, is what we were really looking at. They lost. They're a team I'm kind of like, because that defense is pretty good. But
I would say their defense is better than their offense. We talk about the defense of Carolina, not the offense.
But really looking at the divisional round, the Saints are the big one. The Falcons, even though their defense is better or on par with the Saints, and the Saints isn't chopped liver defensively, then you look at the conference championship. Everyone except for New England, because they're the anomaly. Jacksonville, phenomenal defense.
Yeah.
Vikings, phenomenal defense. Eagles, I would say this year, great to phenomenal defense. Like,
I think you're getting a little excited there.
I'm just saying, like,
the offense is what we talk about in Philadelphia.
Yes, but the defense is, like, out of the teams in the playoffs, the Eagles' defense is something to be reckoned with. It's not like, well, we can push this defense aside. They don't do anything.
It's not forgettable, but once again, the offense is...
It's really their front seven. Like, I look at the Vikings and Jacksonville, those are more complete defenses. Like, for Jacksonville, they have playmakers on each level. Same with the Vikings, where with the Eagles, it's more the front seven. And that could be a thing that I think that Tennessee looked at. It's possible. Know this year's could be an anomaly, but it's like, hey, look at the final four teams. 3 of them had really good defenses. Let's flip it, build our defense. We have our quarterback of the future, and let's bring this guy in to build our defense up.
It's possible. The one thing I would say, correlations don't mean causation. So you can't get too excited about something like that. But at the same time, the NFL is, it moves in waves. All of a sudden, we have a really hot mobile quarterback. Everybody wants mobile quarterbacks. Now we got a really strong defense, and that was successful. Everybody wants to build that defense back up. People just follow whatever looked successful for somebody else. I mean, it's a league where everybody steals from each other. So it's totally possible that that's the direction they want to go in. And he had to have done something that got them excited. I mean, I know I sound very down on it, but that's just because I don't get it. I don't see it. I am willing to be proven wrong, and I will be happy for Tennessee fans if they do it. I have nothing against the Tennessee Titans. I like them enough as a team. I'm fine with them being successful. So
you know what this almost reminds me of when I hear you talk about it? It's not exact, but it almost reminds me of last year when I asked you the question about Sean McDermott. I said, can he end the Bills' playoff drought? And you said, not. You're like, probably not this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if like 2 or 3 years it happens. That's kind of what I'm hearing out of you right now, where it's like, I'm not hot about this, but maybe in 2 and 3 years it pans out.
Yeah, it's a thing where I'm not completely shut off of saying, no, 100% this isn't working. It's just it's not where I would have gone. Maybe it can work out. We'll see.
Any final thoughts on this before we move on to the Arizona Cardinals?
No, we're going to have a lot more to talk about the Tennessee Titans once they get coordinators.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Titan fans, let us know what you guys think down below about the hiring of Mike Vrabel. And if you're not a Titan fan, still let us know what you think about Mike Vrabel going to the Tennessee Titans in the comment section.